in, I would love for you each to introduce yourselves with a little bit about kind of how you're involved in the space and the companies that you work with or represent.
Sure. Should I start?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Nate Whitehill. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Crypto Slate. Crypto Slate is a comprehensive and contextualized source for crypto news, data, and insights. We've been operating since 2017. We have a strong focus on Bitcoin, DeFi, Ethereum, tokens, Web3, and AI.
Awesome. And you guys heard about me. I'm Cynthia. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Dtravel, which is a short-term rental travel ecosystem. And I came into Web3, or crypto as we used to call it, in 2017 as well, with Altcoin Fantasy, which is a crypto trading simulation game to help people onboard into crypto.
Hi, I'm Tina. I am a CMO at MetaView. We are the marketplace for in-game advertising and experiences that are scattered around the metaverses. We collect them and put in one place and make it more accessible for brands. So yeah.
Amazing, thank you. So Cynthia, in your keynote, you had quite a lot of graphics around the kind of up and down of Web3, the kind of snake trajectory, and I wondered kind of how can you be sure what you create will land if there is that much fluctuation? How can you be kind of sure of what you're doing in the kind of marketing space?
That's a great question. I think in Web3, we often have this desire to recreate the wheel. We love complex challenges, especially if they're technical. And despite, I think, this narrative that we want adoption, I think people actually love that we are insiders, right? That it's like this kind of core, small, niche group. But we don't have to recreate the wheel. Web2 has already done a lot of the work for us. Really what we need to get to is building a Web2-like experience that feels amazing, natural, easy, is very UX focused, but with the benefits of Web3. And they don't even need to know that it's using Web3, right? I mean, that's when we get to adoption, is when it becomes so ubiquitous, and it's not important for them to know how the technology works, but they get the benefits of it anyway.
Yeah, I feel like I've been hearing a lot about like kind of seamless integration in the marketing space, and not flagging that this is a Web3 activation. And I wondered, kind of, Tina, when you connect kind of brands and creators, is that something you advise, that we're now at a place that's maybe a bit more seamless?
Sorry, can you repeat? I'm not able to hear.
So when you're working, within MetaView and matching clients, brands. And kind of advertising, is that something you're seeing more of, the seamless integration?
Yes, we are. When we're planning the activation, at first we are gathering the information what brands want to achieve with the activation, and afterwards find the best solution for them. And it's not just us, there is creators involved in that, so the integration and the activation should be seamless. So yes, like lots of things are going on back when you see the activation, you see the campaign in Metaverse or in Web3 and etc. So yes, like we are oriented on like seamless integration. If I was not able to hear your
no, it's a bit, maybe I should. I'm actually going to move closer so I can hear on the sofa with you. So I suppose with Web3 and marketing at the moment, I think partnerships seem like a really major kind of aspect of this. What do you think partnerships kind of bring to the space? And are there any partnerships that you are maybe hoping to work with, next year or in the future?
So partnerships, oftentimes depending on the project and whether it has a direct cryptocurrency or not, partnerships, as we know, can have a pretty tremendous impact on the price of a crypto, depending on what the brand is being associated. I remember back in 2017 when Microsoft was announced as a partner for the Ethereum Enterprise Alliance, and how this would have been early 2017, and the price of Ethereum went through the roof at that time, as you had all these big Web2 brands or legacy brands announcing their support or the partnership with Ethereum at the time. So I think for purely price speculation, partnerships can have that impact. We know that the majority of partnerships don't have a long-term impact on the price of a cryptocurrency. So the other thing that's really important is that the partnerships actually do have a tangible impact or a tangible effect on how the projects are building. Oftentimes we see that partnerships are just marketing, it's just promotion, and there's not anything meaningful or tangible that comes about from it.
Is there anything that can be done to make partnerships more meaningful? I wonder whether kind of bringing in, maybe long-term relationships as opposed to partnerships, is that something you think might change the impact?
Do you want to take that?
Yeah. I mean, I totally agree with that. I think in Web3, we tend to have this tendency to have partnerships for announcements, and we really need to have meat on the bone, so to speak. And it really depends on, I guess, the objective of what the partnership is. If you're something like a metaverse or an agency, then I think onboarding makes sense, where you're onboarding a Web2 partner into Web3. But for us, for example, one thing I would personally really love is I'm a big music festival goer, so I actually would love to partner with music festivals all around the world to provide accommodations, and that is very tangible and also very relevant to what we're doing. So I would say from a Web3 project perspective, just the more that we can move towards actually having these very meaningful long-term relationships rather than partnerships, because it's like a one-off thing, I think the better it is for our industry.
Yeah. Music festivals is like a really good example there. I feel like immersive activations seem to be more in number, but I guess Tina, it sounds like you work a lot with kind of immersive.
Yes.
Can you tell us a bit more about how you feel that might progress in maybe the next year?
With the development of technology like Apple's virtual headsets and Microsoft announced etc. It will be much more important, and the experiences that we are creating right now is partially not so immersive, but at some point it will be, because lots of platforms that are right now, for example, we have a RP1 platform, our partner, the partners you were talking about, it's a fully immersive virtual world, and where brands can do lots of interesting things. So yeah, the more immersive activations is like the future and the logical continuation of the current one that we have right now. Yeah.
And now that, social media is quite a wild place, it feels, at the moment. I would call it turbulent. Some of it, some people would say we totally cancelled some platforms. But how can Web3 develop those longer term, more fulfilling relationships with audiences as opposed to maybe partners? What comms channels should they be using, for example? Now social media is kind of rotten.
Yeah, for me, I think a big part of it is education. Web3 as a concept is still not very understood for the majority of internet users. So there's education that's focused on what does it mean to have self-custody? What are the benefits of Web3 over Web2 versus just a Web2 brand becoming Web3? I think it's much more important to really just try to educate people better about the benefits of Web3.
Yeah, I have a similar but slightly different approach, but I agree on the education side. I think what's really interesting is that with Web3, we've actually seen that Web2 brands have been better at activating and educating people on Web3. And I think it's because they've approached it much more like a brand activation or this immersive experience rather than the technology being the thing.
Yeah.
So having a joint collaboration between Bored Apes and Adidas and having some really cool merch. It's like meeting people where they are rather than trying to shove the technology down their throat. And I think that's more of what we need to do. Like, we're kind of a little bit serious in Web3 about the technology, whereas we almost need to be a little bit more playful in getting people to onboard.
Maybe a bit kind of fitting in with maybe habits that you're already seeing, rather than shoehorning, something that can be quite complex and difficult to understand.
Yeah, I can just add that, yes, social media is the tool that we can talk to the target audience that we want to educate, and not just educate, just showcase what can be done. Because the Web2, from MetaView's case, our target audience are people who represent brands and the workers and etc. So yes, we use social media very actively to show them that there's a possibility and an opportunity to do something in Web3 and translate that in social media, by social media.
And Nate, what role do you think sort of platforms like Crypto Slate play in this? Because you're reporting on so much of this, and how do you think maybe media platforms should be? What role should they be playing?
We're trying to just tell the news in as honest and transparent, straightforward way. So one example is over the past year and a half, NFTs have seen quite a bit of downturn. Yeah. We had an article a few months ago about Disney laying off basically its entire metaverse team. But just yesterday, we had an article about Disney is now going to be partnering with Dapper Labs, which is the maker of CryptoKitties, to have some of their iconic characters in the same kind of NFT form as the CryptoKitties were. So I think with the market cycles, this is one area in which traditional companies, they want to hop on the bandwagon, but if they're not timing the cycle right with what's happening in the interest in the space, it could be a mistake where they invest a bunch of resources and then they have to basically cancel a project. So for Crypto Slate, our goal is just to tell the stuff that people may not like to hear about layoffs or partnerships not working out, but then obviously cover the times where there is new opportunities being created by these partnerships.
Yeah, and I guess kind of show the wrongs and the pitfalls as much as the wins and the triumphs.
Exactly. Yeah. We're just trying to call the score, basically.
Yeah. Well, I'm really sorry, guys. That's all we've got time for. I would love for this conversation to carry on, but I really appreciate your time. And I feel we're coming away with a lot of kind of new Web3 marketing tactics. So that's exactly what we came for. All right.
Cheers.
Thanks so much.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.